The transfer portal rolls on, Cody, as we are just kind of starting to figure out maybe what Texas's plans are here with some of these positions. Some things starting to come into focus, some things still really up in the air. And one of the things that's coming into focus, at least a little bit, is with Raleek Brown of um, out of Arizona State, who running backs coach, Texas running backs coach, Jabbar Jalouk, is traveling to Arizona to visit today, and who will be coming in tomorrow to Texas as of right now for his official visit. Things looking up there for a couple of different reasons that we'll talk about. Also, I mean, you and I just got done before we even got on the show, just sitting and watching some of the Jacarius Peak, number 65 for NC State, the left tackle there. I think we probably both have some thoughts about what needs to happen with that guy. And I know we talked a little bit about it yesterday with the A&M visit happening today, but kind of wanted to get your thoughts on whether he could play guard. It's just there's a lot to get to today, man. So let's talk about it. First, let's thank our presenting sponsor, the Man Eye Institute. See life better at the Man Eye Institute. 1-844-WOW-2020 is where you can get a hold of them, or just scan that QR code here on the screen. The Man Eye Institute is where you can see life better, whether it's LASIK, cataracts. They say it's like LASIK is surgery, and I guess technically it is surgery, but I was talking to Dr. Tremblay when I was in there. He does that in like 8 minutes. It's like you're kind of in, you're out. They got to dilate your eyes. You got to wear some sunglasses for a couple hours, and then you're back to normal. But your vision is anything but what it was as normal before. So if you're having vision issues, if you need contacts, if you need glasses, whatever it is, go to Man Eye Institute. They're our great presenting sponsor. See life better at the Man Eye Institute. Of course, I have to remind you that we have our Alpha seasoning for sale. The Longhorn dust is delicious. I just had some Longhorn dust on top of some deviled eggs that I made for lunch. There's nothing quite like a deviled egg with a bunch of that Longhorn dust right on top of it. The Elite Spice Blend is great for it too. They're great on everything, and you can support us by going and buying our two great spice blends, the Alpha Seasoning Longhorn Dust and the Alpha Seasoning Elite Spice Blend at alphaseasoning.com. And thanks to everybody who's ordered, and thanks to everybody who continues to order. We understand that it's a very addictive spice blend, but there's no MSG, there's no seed oils. It's all very good for you. Great ingredients, alphaseasoning.com. All right, Cody, as I put up the Texas Beef Traders QR code here, do you want to start off by talking about Raleek Brown?
Sure. I think this is interesting. So I guess the notes of the day really is that Jaden Baugh is not leaving Florida, right? That was kind of, some people thought that was the number one running back on the board. That wasn't really on the board for Texas because Jabbar Jalouk, the former running back coach from Florida, now at Texas, was aiming to get Baugh away from Florida. Seems like he had a conversation with John Summerall. Side note, Jaden Woods, the edge rusher that Texas is after from Florida, is meeting with John Summerall today as well. So he's starting
some cryptic tweets today from John Summerall.
He's making the rounds, man.
He just tweeted good.
He's gotta keep these kids in Gainesville, or he's not going to have a job very long if he loses all the talent from these top 15 recruiting classes. But I think the interesting thing, we've seen now Isaac Brown, Louisville, go back to Louisville. Never really entered the portal. Jaden Baugh never really entered the portal. Q1 Lacey obviously never entered the portal, stays at Ole Miss. It kind of puts you in a situation where you're like, all right, well, next man up is Raleek Brown from Arizona State, who had 1,100 yards on the ground this last year, former 5-star from USC that they tried to twist into a little bit of a receiver there, kind of a smaller, shiftier guy. Then is there the Caden Durham thing? Do you want to go the Caden Durham route where – it definitely feels like it's cooled off quite a bit from where he was perceived as a freshman. He had a couple of massive outputs as a freshman at LSU, but then he was banged up this year, and Harlem Berry, the newest freshman, overtook him. He was teammates with Colin Simmons at Duncanville, so it doesn't seem like he's the next guy up. It feels like that's Raleek Brown from Arizona State.
Yeah, man. I really like Raleek Brown. I think that if you just, I look at him, I'm like, okay, well, he's not Isaac Brown, right? But I mean, ostensibly, that's why Isaac Brown was the kind of the 1A target that we've been hearing about this whole time, right? But Raleek Brown has a whole lot to like. If you just consider, like, if you look at his PFF stuff, and we don't care about the PFF grades and things like that, but some of the stuff like the breakaway run percentages and um, things like this, if you just look at that stuff, so his breakaway run percentage last year was 45th out of 284 FBS qualifying running backs. Trey Wisner was 196th in that rate in that. So that's 45th versus 196th. Yards accumulated on design runs. Raleek Brown was 18th out of 284. Trey Wisner was 115th. PFF elusiveness rating, which is basically just the force missed tackles plus the yards after contact per attempt. He was 56th nationally out of 284 qualifiers, whereas Wisner was 91st. He had 46 targets in the receiving game last year. That's something else too, is that this was a guy that USC wanted to be a receiver.
Yeah.
And this is a player who, when if Texas were to get him, he has the ability to be a true threat in the receiving game, not just like a dump off guy, but somebody who's an actual like route running threat within the progression structure. Like it's wheel routes, it's little digs, it's like pro routes. It reminds me of, who was the guy that Jimbo Fisher was that Isaiah Spiller?
No. Yeah, at Texas A&M.
Yeah, just whenever he came out, I remember all the what Scout said was like, we're not that sure about him, but the one thing that we do know about him is that he runs routes like a receiver, and you kind of see a little bit of the same thing here with Raleek Brown. 46 targets, that was 10th nationally. 6.1 yards per rush attempt, that was 37th. Trey Wisner was 175th in yards per rush attempt. 88 yards for his longest rush, that was 9th best. Trey Wisner's longest rush, of course, was that 48-yard rush to start the second half of the A&M game. That was 150th best. So when you get down to it, I think Texas would have preferred Isaac Brown, but this is still a guy that presents really well from a kind of like a statistical profile and just from a film profile, like we talked about. Really good pass catcher with the ball in his hands. He's listed at 5'9", 195 pounds. I think he looks smaller. Do you think he's smaller than that? I think he looks more. I think he looks a little smaller.
You think he's a little? I think he's a little skinny through the butt and the upper leg.
I think he's more like 185, 182, something like that.
Yeah, I kind of think so. I mean, the thing is, like, when you look back at like what he did this year, really jumped onto the screen. He wasn't their expected kind of stud running back. He was just kind of a guy that came in last year, and they're like, well, he's an additional piece here, and he kind of took over.
He was hurt all year last year with the hamstring injury.
Yeah,
and they had Cam running wild.
Yeah, well, yeah, and so I mean, obviously there was a big player to kind of live up to, expectations to live up to there, but you never really can. But he had some big games against, it's like, I don't know, people always talk about like, what certain players do against certain teams. Like Trey Wisner, was like the Oklahoma killer, Texas A&M killer, and it's like, and he didn't really do a lot against any other team this year. Last year was pretty solid, but Raleek Brown, like even against the bad teams and the good teams, performed well and dominated against the bad teams. Like one of the worst rush defenses in the country was Colorado. He put 255 on them, and it's like not every player can just put 255 yards on a Power 5 team. And I know Colorado's not looked at as like this daunting defense or anything, but this is a talented player that I don't expect it's a guy that is going to need north of 15 touches. Like it's a guy that you're only going to want to get a dozen to 15, a dozen to 16 touches a game. And when you look at how they build this running back room out, with Derek Cooper getting work as a freshman, you add another body in here. I think if they add a Raleek Brown, you're probably looking at another 250, 220-pound back in the portal for an additional guy, and you go in with 3 guys. And that would kind of, I think it's a good play. And the thing is also I don't think it's with the landscape of the running back position right now. I don't think it's going to cost you, 1.5 to get a Raleek Brown. which you
No, I
can't
don't. I
you
don't think
can't say
so
the same
either.
thing about Isaac Brown. You can't say the same thing about Ball or Lacey. It would have costed you in that 1-5 area.
You mentioned the Colorado defense being really bad. Here's Exhibit A right here. You just watch this. Watch this one play that I cut up from the All 22 earlier. And this, like, so he ran mostly. It was last year. He was It was 100 and I forgot what the exact number was. Oh, all right. So here it is: 105 gap style runs and 79 zone runs. This run right here looks more like a zone run. And one of the things he really does well, if you watch, is just look how small he gets, kind of navigating through these cracks in the line of scrimmage once he finds
That's
that
a tough
zone
one.
lane. Do you know what I mean? It's pretty. It's pretty. It's pretty. It's pretty awesome. Like, golly, the way he
That
can
side
navigate.
cut is
Yeah, man, the way he can navigate through small spaces and kind of dash into the open field like that, I think is very impressive. And it was weird to me that they didn't use him more as they used him more as a gap runner last year. Seems kind of counterintuitive to me, but I, you know, far be it for me to second guess what Dillingham does. But look, good player. The question now becomes, with Christian Clark showing what he did, do you trust just Derek Cooper, Christian Clark, Raleek if Texas were able to land him, or do you think that there's like, could Caden Durham still be in the picture, or some player like, or maybe catches like Adam Muhammad or something?
I don't think that if you get Raleek, you also have a chance with Cade Durham. I think Caden Durham is looking for a spot to be a starter and get an opportunity like that. If I'm being honest with you, I personally trust Derek Cooper. I think Christian Clark
I
showed you
think I do
enough.
too. Yeah, I think I do too.
I think Christian Clark showed you enough, and then I think the James Simon thing, where like he can come in at 220 pounds and kind of be that. If you need a big body like that, he could be that, kind of what they expected out of Jarrett Gibson this year, right? And be that kind of big body fourth guy. I'd be content with that, but after a year of what we just saw, I'm not sure Sark would be content with that, because if an
Yeah,
injury happens to a
you
guy like
lose
Malik
one,
Brown,
yeah.
then you're kind of back at square one. So
And like I wrote in my column, if you're trying to make this a Thunder Lightning deal with Derek Cooper and Raleek, it's like you're the whole Thunder part of that equation. You're depending on a true freshman. Now, it's an awesome true freshman,
yeah,
but it is a true freshman that's sight unseen as far as on a college football field. I guess that they've seen him because he's been
and
around.
currently no offensive line.
And currently, well, all right. So speaking of that,
Which is a big part when you're a true freshman.
Jacarius Peak, dude, from NC State. How about this guy? I think he might be the best lineman in the whole portal.
Yeah, he looks pretty. I mean, I like Hurd from Tennessee, but Hurd from Tennessee's a little bit more.
I kind of like him a little bit better than Lance Hurd.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think Hurd might be a little bit bigger, a little bit more. I think the comp I wrote down, I think, was Cam Williams for Hurd. God, I can't remember. I got to pull this up. Where did he go? Cam Williams plus.
Did
what I wrote.
you see Cam Williams in the Eagles' last game?
I did see that.
Wait, who did the Eagles play again?
Washington. He posted a picture on his Instagram against Von Miller. And he goes,
Yeah,
they know I'm next.
all right. I was gonna say he was going against some decent guys, man. Looking pretty good.
Pretty high bar post he put out there, Cam Williams. It said, they know I'm next. And it's a picture of him kick stepping against Von Miller.
Well,
like, listen,
I mean,
dog,
I was happy,
I get it, but
yeah,
geez.
I was happy. I was happy to see him out there,
Same.
looking good and looking healthy.
But with that being said, like the comp for that was with Lance Hurd is saying like he's a little top heavy, I thought, and a little jelly belly. Whereas like I think Jakari Peak is a little cleaner.
Got great feet, dude.
Yeah.
Good balance. Just good aiming points. Technically really good. And I think he could play guard. I think he's only 6'4".
Can you get a 3? If would you be, because we've talked about up to 5 guys in this offensive line class that they need to get. With Guaranira from Michigan, the interior offensive lineman, and the big guy, Andrew Sprague, who kind of projects as a right tackle but could potentially play right guard. I think if they got him, Baker and him would just probably duke it out. during camp to see which one kind of fit which position best next to each other. So let's say you get Sprague, you get Guarnera, and you get Peak at left guard. Would you be content with a 3-man class if that was the 3?
I'm always going to want more, but here's the thing: I know that I always can't have more,
Yeah.
and so if you're asking me, it's like the the bird in hand versus one in the bush kind of
Yeah.
thing. It's
Yeah.
like you're offering me. You can say, all right, you can come out of this portal. I guarantee you those 3 players, or you can you can take what you can take what's you're going to get, and you don't know what that's going to be. And I'm having to make the decision for Texas. Is that kind of it? Is that what you're asking?
That's what I'm asking. It's like it's these 3 guys or it's a confetti of Sunbelt players
No, okay. So is it
of some
confetti of
sort.
some
You know
Bell
what I'm
players,
saying? It's not
or could it be those 3 plus like 2 extra Sun Belt guys?
sure.
But it could also be you don't get any of those 3, and you end up getting, so it's like you have to start looking at like, all right, guys, like catches like Alex, go watch this Texas State kid, or like something like this that
Yeah.
Texas has looked into the portal. Um, no, you know me, man. Give me the bird in hand, dude. I'll take those 3 studs.
I think so too. I think that's probably the right answer. I think you know what I'm also worried about?